I had a little chicken and made it sound like this, and when it got very bored, it wanted to play like this. Yeah! Chicken's back! The chicken is back! Woo! Well, hi there. Up on the table is a whole stack of Thomas and Friends TrackMaster awesomeness. Some of this stuff is from a couple of years back. It's stuff that I purchased, but I never showed it up on YouTube. I'm struggling to get used to a new camera. Maybe looking at these toys here will get me used to the new camera. Strangely enough, the bulk of these TrackMaster toys were purchased at Toys R Us in Australia, but sadly they've now gone. That was one of the last of the big toy train sales that they did. Maybe we'll look at this cattle dog in this video, or maybe not. Now I'm sort of thinking, which one of these toy trains will I take a look at first? Which one's it going to be? Maybe the crash and repair Salty will be first. From my memory, Salty was the tricky one to find. Mind you, you may have seen it totally different where you live. I'm trying to think. There was Thomas, there was Diesel 10. Who else was in this Smash and Repair series? I can't quite remember. I'm going to unbox Salty in a bit of an old-fashioned way. And this is very much a camera test at a higher shutter speed. Come on, Salty, out of there. Don't. Salty's playing hard to get. Don't you dare do that to me, Salty. Come back here. I'll tell you what, the chicken never fails. Never fails, and Salty is nearly out of this packaging here. Let's let me get him completely out. Nice and gentle, of course. There's a set of constructions. We can store those safely, and there's Salty. There's a bit of a rock here to collide into so Salty can do his little trick, and we'll just pop Salty out. Come on, Salty. Oh, he's got one of these around him. Oh, why do they make it so hard to get toys out of the packaging, eh? Come on, Salty. Oh, Salty is finally free. And Salty looks, well, very TrackMaster 2 Salty. I've thrown the batteries into Salty. Salty is a runner. Yes, TrackMaster 2 Salty. I think we've lost a bit of character somewhere. Anyway, it's in its crashed state at the moment, and to repair it, I think you just pull this forward at the front here, close up those bits there, something like that, and hopefully we will see Salty's normal face. Mind you, he's looking this way for some reason. Maybe those rubber chicken slaps have affected his facial features. But anyway, when he hits something, he'll do this. He'll bust open and expose his diesel engine there, and we'll get the crashed face. Mind you, the crashed face is sort of looking over that way for some reason. From the other models that I had where the face wasn't lining up at that point there, I think you basically hold the crash bits and you can then get the face into the right spot, I hope. Or is it not going to do it to me on this one? Oh dear, oh dear. Well, let's just get him back to normal and see if I can reset him of sorts. Oh, come on, Salty. Work with me, please. Okay. We're sort of, yeah. Oh, that might be it. I just heard the right sort of click then, I hope. That's Salty in his clean state, and then he should go boof, and we guess. There you go, I can fix things. We've got Salty's crashed face, I hope, if I just keep that pushed in. Well, I'll just give Salty a run on the turntable here. I don't know how disastrous this is going to be. We'll see how he looks. You can tell me what you think about that TrackMaster 2 Salty there. Go, Salty, go. Salty down the back there, just lumping his way back to us. And to demonstrate his crash dynamics, if he hits a boulder, he'll go like this. Something like that. There you go, he's crashed and he's looking very uncomfortable. Might be the perfect cue to move on to the next toy train to take a look at. I think this is the next perfect thing to look at, the real Steam James. Wow, this was a chance find, I can tell you. It was found at Toys R Us. That's what the back of the packaging looks like. And I'll very carefully get James out of his packaging. Everyone's expecting to see the rubber chicken. Guess what? Been given the flick. I'm going to do a very, very boring and unconventional boxing just like this. Come on, James. Come to Papa. Yeah. Oh yes, I think the James fans may be pleased with this. Let me just carefully unbox it here. I've got to get this out as well. There's James. Okay, I've got to put some batteries and water James up. And I also notice on the tender section, that's a very neat idea. They've put the water bottle holder there where the cold bunker is. Yes, okay. And that's a little water bottle there. get it out. Yes, so it can reside in somewhere like that. You know what I mean. This is definitely one you need to read the constructions because there's the right and wrong place to put the water in. So there's a funnel there that you don't put the water in. There's an air vent on this side that you don't put the water in, but there is a hole on the other side. That is the place where you put the water in, and I'm just going to tank James up and we'll get him steaming real soon. And when you put too much water in, you'll see water come out the other side like that. Hope that's right. And here is that tender area where you can store your little doodah there. There's also the real steam Thomas and Percy, but I wonder why they picked off James as a third steamer there. I'll turn James on. He takes... Oh, he's steaming straight away. That is miraculous. Go, James, go. Steam ahead. Go, go, go. Okay, James is doing really well, and I've just put some backlight in there, and we can see the steam effect nicely when it's backlit. That's the secret to seeing things like this. Yes, looks nice. James looks very nice. There's also a blue light that emanates from the steaming area, so it's a nice effect if you've got all the lights out. Well, maybe I could bring back in Crash and Salty, set Salty the other direction, and we might see magic happen. Yeah! And then it becomes a battle between the two, and who's going to win? It looks like Steam and James. Oh, yeah! Well, actually, no, they've both faltered there. I don't know who's won that battle, but that's all the fun of playing the trains. And somehow after that crash, Salty has reset himself back to not being in a crash state. Me hearties, I got a couple of tricks up my sleeve, haven't I? Yes, Salty, I'll turn you off and put you over there gently. And it's just reminded me, when you have finished playing with your steam and trains, you've got to get the water out of them. And I think you just do that. And make sure that when it's stowed away, the batteries are out and there's no water left in the toy. Just on the theme of James, the next one we're going to take a look at is the Busy Bee James. For me, this was a very, very tricky one to find. I'll get right into this one because I've got a lot of trains to look at. It says it's got a collector's card or something as well with this one. Just get James out nice and gently here. Come on, James, come and play. And if you're forgetful like me, the other toys that were available in this era of TrackMaster 2 was Percy's Chocolate Crunch and Thomas and the Jet Engine. Here is the collector's card, and the collector's cards key right into people who remember the beginning of the franchise. The earlier toys often came with collector's cards, and there's a little bio which tells you a little bit about the story, very much a bit of a visual gag in the story. This is just me speaking about what I think should happen. I think all toys should come with little collector's cards like this. I think they're very important. In this series of toy, there was a little item that clipped onto the funnel piece that gave extra character to the toy, and I'll just get James, Busy Bee James, running here, and we can be just mesmerised by how beautiful it looks. And I'm sure James will pick up some steam here and buzz past the camera. Go, James, go! Definitely a must-have TrackMaster 2 toy train, especially if you're a James fan. I'm sure there's plenty out there. I'll just let James do a nice slower pass here so we can have a good look at what's going on. It's a sort of toy that you sort of can't keep your eyes off, and I think it was a very popular toy. Put it this way, I never really saw these ones sitting on the shelves and not selling. And there's the rolling stock there. Is it bales of hay in there? Is that part of the story? I know someone will tell me if that's part of the story or not. For a while there, I thought I was never going to get this toy. When this toy was in store, it was the period in Australia where the Thomas stock was often very, very tricky to find, but slowly that is being repaired. Very peaceful to watch that, but we might break the piece, and I'll bring on my Crash Salty here, and anything could happen like that. Oh my goodness me! I can tell you, one of these trains on the table, the other one's down on the ground. Somehow I've repaired myself in the fall. That's quite miraculous. Salty somehow repairs himself when he hits things, and we will just very carefully, we'll turn Busy Bee James off, and we'll put these over here, and we'll move on to our next toy. The next trains, as plural, we're going to take a look at is the Speed and Sparks Thomas And the Speed and Sparks Percy. These are a curious pair. I like them. I think I like them. Haven't played with them yet. They had a hole in their boxing so you could install, demonstrate to yourself how it works. And Thomas also had a hole there. You can see Thomas working. The back of the packaging looked like this. Lovely picture there of Percy showing that the back wheels light up. We'll hopefully see that in this video. I may have to turn some lights off. And also the same with Thomas. The artwork is nice and crisp there. Thomas looks like he's moving forward. And if you have a bit of a read there and pause the video, it's to get you excited about this toy. I'm having a bit of trouble getting these out of the box. You know what that means, boys and girls? The chicken is back! The chicken is back! And never ever let a rubber chicken ruin your day because they can be very, very helpful. I know a lot of people struggle with the rubber chicken and the idea of it, but it's actually unboxed these in a very, very different way. Look at this, it's smashed all of the front plastic out, and I can get the Spark and Thomas out, and I will go and put some fresh batteries in these. Also get Percy out too, because the chicken is smashed through the front there. I'll tell you what, rubber chickens, they're an awesome things. Never leave home without one. I just noticed these toys have got some nice faces on them. These are a nice pickup, and I did have a look at the core here because I am curious about the core. It's got a different switch on it. It's like a button switch. The batteries they put in from the toy factory are always really awesome. I wish I could get those sort of batteries in store. These ones never seem to leak. I hope I'm saying it right there. But yeah, the core doesn't look that different to a conventional core of TrackMaster 2. And I'm just putting in some no-name generic type batteries in there. And because I'm semi-curious about those batteries, let's see how much grunt was in them. Look at that. They're basically a fully charged battery. That's amazing. I could have continued on with those batteries, and just before I put the cover back on, we'll take a look at the little special effect down here. And if you look very carefully at the rear wheel there of Thomas, there's a little LED light that's flashing through the transparent part of the wheel. It's a very subtle effect, and it may need to have a lot of lights turned off to see it fully. If you're curious, that's the constructions to this toy. There's not much going on there, apart from explaining how to put the batteries in. Okay, I've got Thomas and Percy here. I'll get them going. I think Percy's going to seem like he's going faster because he's on the inside track. But we'll have a careful look at these toy trains. First up, there's Thomas with Percy passing on the inside. Thomas has got the attitude face, as I'll call it. Yes, I like any Thomas which has got a bit of a specialised face. In fact, I just like this Thomas a lot because it looks a little bit different to a lot of the others that I've got. Just looking at Percy there, he's a bit of a lumpy runner, but sometimes you get that with TrackMaster 2. It's a different face as well. I'm sure that's different to a normal Percy face, with Thomas now trying to take over the show here. Yes, I like this Percy as well. You know, I like anything that's a bit of variety to the normal slice of life. As for the sparking effect, oh, Percy's just going crazy here. I'm not really seeing it. I am seeing a bit of a flash underneath Percy there. It's a bit intermittent. What is Percy doing there to Thomas? I don't know, I just think it may need to be a whole lot brighter to see it properly. It puts a whole new perspective onto Thomas's face, doesn't it, hey? Yes. Again, I'm just trying to see that sparking back wheel with Percy biting at the back there. Oh, Percy's just given up, and Thomas is going to, well, go around. What has happened to Percy? Oh, yeah, they crashed at the front. That's very strange. Oh, they just split their ways again there. Well, Percy's sort of like stuck halfway between the tracks there. That was weird. You know, sometimes TrackMaster 2, it can be fairly lumpy running. I think it's for the fact that the little cogs in the back wheels, depending on where they are in the axle, don't quite mesh with the track properly. Just let me turn the whole stack of lights off so we can see them wheels flashing. Okay, with a lot of lights turned off, and hopefully we're starting to see that flashing sparking, or simulated sparking that's going on. Oh, Percy's playing up again. Why is that happening? That is just weird. Anyway, I'll just see if I can crank Percy round before he causes a train wreck, and we might be able to see his sparking wheel as well. Yes, it's quite an intermittent effect. I can't talk today. And as for Percy playing up on the railway, well, maybe he's just getting a bit shonky that Thomas has got the outside track here. Yeah, so I'll just do a wide shot here, and you can see the sparking and them derailing like they seem to want to do. sort of sad, but I don't know, it's part of the fun, isn't it? Trains going wrong on roundabouts like this, and Thomas is down. Thomas is down. Looks like Percy, well, Percy's given up the fight. Well, I don't know how much that last bit was going to be in focus or visually exciting. I'll just turn the Spark and Percy off, and also turn the Spark and Tomas off, and we're also going to come in now and do another double duo of Percy and Tomas. It is the real Steam Percy, yay! And I've also grabbed, and I had to grab another one of these, a real Steam and Tomas, because my first one failed to steam. Just looking under the box there, they were $35 at Toys R Us Australia, both Tomas and Percy. The sort of toy that you really didn't see at many other retailers, and I'm going to struggle to get these out, aren't I? I don't need to talk too much about how these work because they're the same as that James one that I saw earlier in the video. Okay, well, Tomas is out, and its little tanker also houses the little bubble thing that is the water thing, which is there. And I'll also get Percy gently out of its boxing, eh? There we are. Didn't need the chicken, did I? Okay, I put the batteries into these toys. I've also watered them up. It's exactly the same as the Steam and James. They look fairly awesome. I'm very curious to see whether they'll steam as soon as they get going here, like James did. Oh, they are. That is amazing. They steaming right out of the box, basically. Nice work indeed. Nice work. And I've got my little light set up in the right spot, I hope, so we can see that steaming effect out of Tomas. Yeah. Yeah, the dud one I had never gave a puff of steam like that. It never ever worked. But I should have taken it back, but I just thought, well, I'm a Tomas collector, it can just be part of the collection, can't it? I'll let Tomas steam by me here, and I'll wait for Percy to catch up, although he's still giving me a lovely display of steam there. Very nice indeed. And there's Percy there, hopefully steaming. I think Tomas actually gives better steam than Percy. Maybe he's on different sort of coal. Oh no, Percy's down and starting to steam up nicely. Very nice, Percy. Yes, it's a nice effect. A little bit subtle, but if you get the light in the right spot, it looks pretty cool. At the corner of my eye, I can see what Tomas does for steam. Oh no, Percy does give good puffs. I was thinking Percy was a bit lazy in his puffs of steam. Just let me get Tomas to come around and we can take a look at Tomas. Okay, there's Tomas there, and maybe we'll see a puff of steam, and you might say, well, he's puffing better than Percy. I would say Tomas has got better steam than Percy. Maybe you can have your say on that. I can see a lot easier. They're much bigger puffs. They're going much higher than what Percy can pull off, and I think Tomas is just going to come up beside Percy here. Man, he is really steaming. Look at him go. And then when they're side by side, we might be able to see one against the other in a fair comparison. Yes, definitely Tomas is a better steamer than what Percy's showing. Just looking at Tomas's steam there, yes, definitely a stack more steam out of Tomas. No one hopefully can deny that. I've just turned a whole stack of lights off, and then we can start to see that blue light which is in the funnel. That looks very, very cool. Makes the steam effect look nice as well, but a lot of that look is coming from the backlight that I've got off to the side of my table. And we'll take a look at Tomas as well if I spin the table fast like this. There's Tomas, and yeah, Tomas is chugging really hard, really hard. He's got a big effect when he does his steam. Look at him go. Oh yeah, go Tomas, go. It's almost like laying down fog. Quite amazing. And they're going to come up beside each other here, I hope. Yeah, it's actually, when you get the lighting right, it's quite a spectacular effect. But if you've got, you know, a whole bunch of really bright lights on, you really can't see it. It can seem, oh, now we're going to have a bit of a fight there. There we are, almost side by side. Come on, Tomas, do a chug, and then we can cut out of this scene. Yeah, go, Tomas, go. Chugging his dear heart away. Actually, Percy's trying to catch up. It's not bad. I think a lot of people saw these toys, and they saw the price of them, and they didn't understand the price of these versus just a normal TrackMaster toy. Oh, now Tomas is going to... What was that craziness right at the end there? Yeah, a lot of people just, I think, struggled with the price of these versus a normal TrackMaster toy, which are very cheap. Like, they're, you know, in Kmart Australia, they're like a $15 toy. So when people see $35 against those guys, I think they couldn't work it out. Okay, next up we're going to take a look at another two trains. It's the RC version of Thomas and Percy, but very strangely I also found an RC version of Luke, and I always wondered why did they choose Luke to be an RC player. Just sneaking a look underneath the box how much I paid for these, cranking up near $40. The box also says easy to use remote control, I'm sure it will be, and the back of Luke looked like this. It said that Percy and Thomas were also available, and on Thomas the back of the box looked like this, and it said that Percy was also available, which we're not surprised about, and on the back of Percy, guess what? It says that Thomas is also available. I had a little chicken and made it sound like this, and when it got very bored it wanted to play like this. Yeah! Chicken's back! The chicken is back! Thomas has been just a little bit stubborn here. Get out of there, Thomas! Go! I know you're wondering, how well did the chicken unbox those toys there? Well, the chicken's doing it in a very different way, I've noticed. It's breaking open the plastic front of these boxes, and the toys just come out like that. The remote has to come out as well. Let me get Thomas out nice and gently. Oh, Thomas's remote's out. Thomas is out, and we'll just very gently tap Percy out of his box there. Come on, Percy. Time to play. Well, the first thing to note is all three characters came with the same generic Thomas instructions. The good news here is there's actually not much going on here. It doesn't take too many batteries like a lot of remote control toys do, and I've got the batteries in these. Yeah, I'm still curious about why Luke was chosen to be RC-fied. Percy, always nice, and I'm just going to take a look at the shell of Thomas before I close him up. The good news is it's Thomas in small remote control format. The bad news is it's got a standard face. The top of the driver's cab has been cut out because the receiver, which is actually very compact, sticks up out through it. You can barely see the on and off signage here. I think it needs to be bigger, and I think in the position there it's on. And I've already had a little play with this toy, and if I grab the remote, which is a nice size, oh yeah, I can just turn it on and off. It's actually quite responsive. I'll just do it again. Yes, and I'll be curious to see how much distance I can get up between the controller and the toy. I'll just gently get Thomas together here. There, that's it. I've got Thomas there, the remote's in my hand. Ooh, yeah, nice and responsive. Stop, Thomas. Start, Thomas. Stop, Thomas. Start, Thomas. Ooh, I like this a lot, eh? Yeah. I'm feeling like the king of the railways if I can do this all day long. I'm about 2 meters away from my table. I've got the remote in my hand. I'm going to point it up at the ceiling. Stop and start. Stop and start. I'm going to point the remote at my camera here. Oh, it's a little bit less responsive, but I'm not surprised. Of course, if you point it at Thomas, it's going to do exactly what you want it to do. I'm just hiding in some boxes over the corner of the workshop. I'm about 4 meters away from the table. I'm pressing start and stop and start and stop. Oh, that's good, isn't it? Hey, yeah. I'll tell you what, for a small remote control toy, this is pretty darn good. I'm just going to stop Thomas there, start Thomas. That's great. Maybe if it had a couple of speeds it'd be better, but I'm having fun with this. I could play this all day long. I've just added Luke on there. Oh, yeah, go Luke's. Luke has jumped up and is really going for it. Wow. If I stop Luke, because I've got total control, yes, maybe Thomas can knock him back online. No. Oh, I can have lots of fun here, actually. I can play all sorts of nasty train games. And Luke has just derailed Thomas. Well, and Thomas is down. Thomas is down. I just went to turn them off. I suppose I could, but I've got to hit that and that to get them quiet again. Yes, if you had a big playset and these little fellas running around, you could have a whole stack of fun, I feel. Very responsive, and Luke's playing like a bit of a jumpy player, like when you get that weird, strange meshing that sometimes goes wrong with TrackMaster 2, like we just saw then. And now he's jumped off and Thomas is going to come along and do that. And someone's going to fall off, I feel. Oh, now it's a stalemate, okay. I should give Percy a run. It's a case of just flicking it and then you press the button and it should, yeah, it should go. I think with these toys you got to keep telling it to be back on to work. I'll give Percy a run. Actually, I'll put it on this one here. I'll give Thomas a bit of a break. Okay, and we'll keep Luke going because Luke is sort of action on. See, I went to turn it on. Have I got the right remote or what? You got to see this. Work for me, Percy. Work. Oh, he's off at the moment. That's why I said we need better indications on top here. Okay, now Percy should be a goer. Go, Percy, go. Finally. Yeah, it needs a better indicator on top of the train. You can't see it clearly. Well, I can't see it clearly, and Luke is still playing up there. And it's a strange green star, mate, there. It's not easy being green, especially when you've got one trying to ram the other one off the rails. Maybe the fun would be to add Thomas into this. Oh, just got him going in time here. Yes, I'm thinking I can have a lot of fun with these remote-controlled toy trains. I wish I got into them earlier. Yes, very nice indeed. Because I have control, if I stop Percy, will that cause confusion and delay? No, it's just going to hang up the railway like that, and then Thomas is going to come around the back and do that. And Percy's doing absolutely nothing. He's not even on. He's just getting pushed along by Thomas. I'll turn Percy back on. Okay, Percy's back on. Maybe if I turn Luke off. Okay, oh. Is that going to cause confusion and delay, or is that just going to cause a train wreck? Now they're just getting past him. Well, I'll turn Luke back on. And Luke's... Oh, okay, Luke's just derailed himself there because he's not a happy camper. There you go. Luke wins, and Thomas and Percy have lost. These small remote-controlled Thomas and Friends toy trains are a lot of fun. Did they do the larger steamers in this series? I'm a bit curious whether I'm missing out on some nice toys. I'll just turn Thomas off here. In fact, I should turn them all off properly. And yeah, if you do see these around, if they are still around, because I purchased these some time back. Mind you, Luke was a more recent purchase. I'd say definitely get them. I'll just give Luke one more try here. I'm still fascinated why Luke was chosen to be remote control fied. And he's a very jumpy starter, and he's a bit of a lumpy runner, and we spoke about lumpy runners before. I think it's the way the back wheels are attached onto the axle. Sometimes they don't quite suit that TrackMaster 2 track. Oh, there you go. He's a very, very lumpy runner. He's going to probably totally derail me. Nevertheless, we're having a good look at Luke there, and doing his best to wreck the railways. And it was only a matter of time he totally succeeded. Just as they're spinning around here, look at the back of Percy and Thomas. There's no detailing, but then let me just grab Luke as he comes round here. Look at the back of Luke there. Strangely, he's been afforded some detailings that some of the higher priority characters never received. Anyway, I'm actually very impressed. Very, very impressed with these toys, and I'll tell you what, it takes a bit to impress me these days. Let me just gently put these over here. And the remote controls as well. Whisker. I was going to take a look at Henry. Maybe we'll take a look at Henry in another video. I'm curious about this one for the fact that it's available again. For a long time where I live, this engine wasn't available. Mind you, the numbers of Henrys that are being pegged out is actually quite low. Let's say versus your Thomas Percys and characters that you may not want. Let's now take a look at this Toys R Us catalogue, which was the last toy train sale that we had in Australia. Okay, hopefully I've set this up so we're not getting flared out and we can see it correctly. The date of this sale is down there, 7th of March to the 3rd of April 2018. That was right near the time when Toys R Us folded in Australia. So we can see here, it was right at the time when Thomas Wood was starting to appear. It was like the new kid on the block in a sense, and I'm just going to go page by page. I don't want to talk explicitly about everything I see. You'll be able to see things and know exactly what they are. What I liked about Toys R Us is a very simple equation, is that often they had stock there that other retailers would never touch. Mind you, sometimes you're paying a bit of a Toys R Us tax, but if you had the VIP card, that would eliminate much of that cost. Yeah, it's just on that page there. There's lots of Thomas and Friends memories. I can see Thomas Wood and Railway stuff. Yeah, it would have been the end of the era there. But, you know, you can't hang on to the past forever. That's what I've learned in life. TrackMaster, yes, some of these sets I've reviewed. Yeah, there's really a history of time here. Engines there. More TrackMaster things there. Yeah, that playset there. That was one which came with the Steaming Thomas. Steaming Thomas by itself was $35, so it was actually pretty good value at that price. And on the other page, we get into Thomas Minis. Yeah, I don't know, I've lost my interest in those a little bit. I think there's a bit too much bloat and they lost their metal core. Down to the My First Thomas characters down here, yeah. You can either love or hate those. There's some of those that I like. There's one there actually. That's like a classic toy that's been around for quite some years there. That's one of the most prolific toys in Mattel form and Tomy format that came through via the charity shop. Okay, Imaginarium. Yeah, my son liked the Imaginarium stuff. We never got really into the playsets, but some of the individual trains. Oh, I think you go to a party, a Thomas party, you can get that sort of boogie there as well. And then on the back page, I think one of the best toys that I saw around, it's this Thomas here. It was like a little ride on Thomas, but also had a playset action with it with Thomas and Percy. I do go back to my local Toys R Us in the last 3 days, and I studied what happened with these toys here and a few of the others. I was quite curious to see what was going on. I have got one of these. I picked it up on special quite some time back. And the rest of the page will start to drift into some Thomas and Friends merchandise. It's only a small selection, and I know that goes on forever and ever. Now, with so many things, you don't understand how much you miss them until it's gone. And I'll tell you what, I'm starting to feel the vacuum for the fact Toys R Us is no longer with us in Australia. So on the table, these are the toys I had a look at in this toy review. Yes, it was a toy review. The ones that really stick out in my mind, well, I can tell you the ones that I really, really liked. Of course, it's the Bumblebee James. It was a very hard toy for me to get, and I'm very glad I finally got it. I didn't mind these steaming ones here. That's Thomas, Percy, and James. And I think the ones that really charmed me were these 3 remote-controlled Thomas toys. And yes, nearly all of these toys that you see down on the table here, I'm pretty sure I purchased them at Toys R Us, and that's what Toys R Us was good for. Now, the toy that underwhelmed me the most, that's the one that least impressed me, I think I'm going to say this Thomas and Percy supposedly sparking toys. I don't know, the box artwork looked amazing, the read above it sounded exciting, but in the end I just feel like these two were not dressed to impress. Like I said, this video is very much of me getting used to a new camera. The best way to do that is go and shoot trains that are moving. I was changing the shutter speed a fair bit during the video. I just hope the focus is okay. You know, sometimes cameras can play little tricks on you.